God.
Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Track Retrack here on Geeked Half Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
And I'm over it. Because this is our fourth time trying to start this damn episode. We're here. We're queer and we're ready to party. Alright, let's go. Let's do this. Deadpool style.
You just swore in the... I'm going to have to bleep that.
I swore twice. Well, this is the fourth time. I think I'm allowed to swear.
Okay. We're here to talk about Season 3, Episode 3, The Paradise Syndrome. On a mission to save a planet from an asteroid, Kirk loses his memory and gains a wife, Miramani.
Yeah.
With a consequence of accidentally activating a cryptically inscribed obelisk.
All right. The Paradise Syndrome, which my first comment was, this is some very peaceful intro music. And then we have Kirk, Bones, and Spock beam down to a beautiful planet, and of course it's just like Earth. Until they see a weird structure with symbols on it, and apparently an asteroid is heading for the planet. I know. And they have 30 minutes to explore, and they encounter what looks like essentially Native Americans. And Spock says there aren't people there more advanced who have built that structure, though, so they find it very weird. And Kirk is enthralled by the planet's beauty, and Bones calls it Tahiti Syndrome, which immediately reminded me of Coulson going to Tahiti in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when he was really getting the alien juice pumped into him. I got that right? It's been a minute since I've watched it. And Kirk goes to look at the obelisk and suddenly is sent down through a trapdoor. And they can't find him anywhere. Spock says they need to go back, though, in order to divert the asteroid, so they beam back. Meanwhile, Kirk explores inside the obelisk, and he doesn't recognize his own communicator. His memory's been lost. And he comes out of the chamber all of a sudden to two Native American women who bow to him, say they're his people, and they've been waiting for him, question mark, question mark, question mark. I was very confused at this point, and I was very worried where this was going, rightfully so. And Kirk is brought back to their camp. The elders discuss if he's actually the god or not who's supposed to save them. White saviorism at its not finest. And Kirk can't remember anything, but says he also came from the sky, which, I don't know. I feel like if you can't remember anything and your memory's been wiped, maybe you're not a god. Crazy idea, but wouldn't a god not that wouldn't be able to happen to a god because you're a fucking god? And I don't know. Anyways, so they bring in a boy. Yeah, they bring in a boy to the tent who got hurt, and Kirk performs CPR and revives the kid. So now they definitely think he's a god and give him the medicine badge, which still don't quite understand why they gave him that if he's a god. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So the Enterprise gets to the asteroid and they activate the deflectors, but not enough. So they have to go in its path until they have enough power to phaser and destroy it. And apparently because Kirk is medicine chief now, Miramani is supposed to marry him and not Salish, who was the old medicine chief, who is not happy about that, and she can't answer whether she would choose him or Kirk when he asked her, which I was like, that's rough, man. I'm sorry.
That's rough,
especially because literally just met Kirk, and Lord knows how long she's known Salish. But if that's what they're supposed to do, I don't know. It's like an arranged marriage, essentially.
Yeah.
So Kirk asked Miramani about the Wise Ones, and apparently the Wise Ones brought them there from far away. They chose a medicine chief to keep the secrets of the temple and to use it when the sky darkens. And apparently the medicine chief died before he could tell Salish the secret, so no one knows it anymore. And my next note is LOL at Miramani trying to take Kirk's clothes off. That was so cringe. Like, not because she couldn't, but because they decided to do that for her character. Like, come on. It's pretty simple, and they're just, I feel like they're, just making her look dumb. And Kirk tells the chief his name is Kurok, because he can't remember it, so he says Kurok, and says he's happy and peaceful there. Never felt that way before, which I'm like, you don't have memories. How do you know you never felt that way before? Come on. So the Enterprise fires at the asteroid, and they do simultaneous fires at it, but doesn't quite work. And then we have Kirk wakes up and is now in like Native American clothing, and Miramani says they are supposed to be married, and Kirk is okay with it. She says they are to marry tomorrow, and they kiss because of course.
Yes.
Why not? They've known each other for like a day. Totally normal. So Scotty says the star drive is completely burned out. Is that the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem... Okay. And they only have impulse power, and only a starbase could fix things. And Bones blames Spock for what happened. It yells at him. They head back to the planet, but will only make it there 4 hours before the asteroid, and it will take them 2 months to get there, which I'm like, okay, so this episode takes place in a few months, essentially, which is a long-ass time. And it is time for the ceremony, and LOL, Kirk is so happy is my note, but he is confronted by Salish, who slashes his hand and sees him bleed, but the ceremony still happens, so I don't know what the point of that was. And Bones checks on Spock, who's still trying to decipher the symbols, and I was like, why isn't Uhura helping this?
Right?
Like, isn't this her specialty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because when we discover what they are, now granted, this is future, but we discover that they're musical notes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that episode of Strange New Worlds where she was humming, and it and Spock was there with her. Like, yeah. It's, prequels.
Yeah. So apparently it's been weeks now. Bones is concerned and tells Spock to rest. And Spock, of course, pretends to rest, but goes back to studying the obelisk. And then we have a scene where Miramani and shirtless Kirk are playing in the woods, because of course he's shirtless at some point, saying he's had weird dreams about a ship and people, and he feels like his place is there, doesn't deserve this happiness, and she tells him she is pregnant. Dun dun dun. And Kirk's sideburns give me Elvis vibes. And they're really bad. Like, you can tell they're just patched on there. So Kirk shows Miramani how to irrigate when thunder starts, and she says it's time to go to the temple to save them and light the blue flame. And Kirk's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So Kirk tells everyone to go to the caves instead, but they tell him they will die. So Kirk finally goes to the temple, followed by Salish, but, can't figure out how to open it, because... duh. So Bones comes across Spock playing his instrument and says the symbols were actually musical notes. Apparently they are preservers who send humanoids all over the galaxy to planets to save them with an asteroid deflector, which isn't working now. And as Bones says, now we know why there are so many humanoids everywhere, which is interesting that they have this episode to explain that. But I don't know. It's still, I feel like it's still a stretch for sure. So the people start to throw rocks at Kirk when Bones and Spock show up and help Kirk and Miramani get better with the help of Chapel. Bones says Kirk's memory is the only thing not working. Spock uses his mind powers to combine their minds, and they start saying, "I am Kirok," and has regained his memories. Spock helps Kirk open the door, and they go down and fire the deflector. Bones tells Kirk that unfortunately Miramani won't survive her injuries, and he says goodbye to her. And that's it. And my first general thought is, white savior syndrome should be a better name for this.
Yeah.
And then, of course, most of the Native American characters aren't being played by Native Americans. I don't know if any of them actually are or not. But at least most didn't look. There were some that did look like them, but, you know, not surprised for the 60s. I mean, a lot of times they still don't do it nowadays, but...
I was looking, because I thought I read something about Sharf actually being Native, but it just says American actors.
So don't know for sure.
Don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Obviously, it would be different today. It was different in the... It shouldn't
Well-
have been, but
we would hope so, at least.
yeah. Yeah, so, like, general thoughts. They're, like, amazing.
thoughts?
General thoughts? Oh. They talk about the unbelievable. It's exactly like Earth. And yet you found multiple Earth-like planets. Like, they talk about how astronomical it must be. But Spock does at least say, due to the size, because the planet was smaller than Earth, but developed the same.
The size matters.
They're like, before they decided to actually do this, I was like, why don't you just go deflect the comet and come back? Like, just go deflect the asteroid and then come back and look around.
Yeah, that's a good point. They just decided to make it hard. That's what they said. I thought it was also funny how this episode Spock has control of the Enterprise after the previous episode when the Romulan commander wanted him to be in control. So I just thought it was ironic. I don't know what production order it was in, but still.
Let me see. This was episode number 59 of 80 produced. Technically 79. Enterprise Incident was 60th produced. Wow. Oh, wait. Yeah, so this was one episode before Enterprise Incident, but they aired backwards.
There's also an inconsistency with Kirk's headpiece throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there.
The only other thing I have is that they call it the Vulcan Mind Fusion instead of the Vulcan Mind Meld.
Yeah, they did.
That was
I
weird.
was wondering about that.
But yeah, that's
Any
it.
other general thoughts?
General thoughts? No.
General thoughts? Okay.
So that will bring us to favorite lines and moments, etc. I don't have any.
I only have one where Scotty's like, my burns, my poor burns. I don't know how to do a Scottish accent, so yeah. As the engine looks like it's overheating.
I gotta look up because I don't. What are bangers?
Bairns, like my babies. I only know this because of Outlander. I watched Outlander for the plot.
All right.
Just for the plot.
So there you go. Favorite lines and moments. That'll bring us to That's What They Said. We've been waiting for you to come to us.
I want to split that fissure wide open.
I saw him come.
Commence simultaneous bombardment.
I have a gift for you.
It is imperative that we get inside immediately.
Yay!
Yay! That's what they said for Star Trek TOS Season 3, Episode 3, The Paradise Syndrome. AKA my better title, White Savior Syndrome.
Yes. That will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. As you alluded to, several months pass over the time of this episode, making it by far the longest time period in a single episode of the original series.
Yep.
The original script had Miramani surviving with Kirk's child. The obelisk was built especially for this episode. Uhura is not...
They fully built it?
Yeah, just for this episode.
Wow.
Uhura is not on the bridge in this episode, but stock footage from And the Children Shall Lead places her there for a moment. And then Star Trek Strange New Worlds establishes that Carol was pregnant with Kirk's son in 2259, making him 8 or 9 years old at the time Miramani's child with Kirok would have been born. And then the last thing is what you have called out by this episode, by your better title for this episode. The author Daniel Bernardi, in his book Star Trek and History, Racing Toward a White Future, he talks about how this stereotypes the Native Americans as noble savages and the White Kirk as normal and even divine, since he is a god. He's shown as naturally superior, like he saves the kid. And then the script kills Miramani, so Kirk doesn't have to unheroically and immorally leave her and their unborn son behind. Or unborn baby. They didn't say if it was a son or a daughter. Yeah. This is not great.
No.
Not great.
Not great at all, unfortunately. Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of great episodes of Trek we've covered. Great number. Say great. 12 times now. And then unfortunately there's these episodes that it's not easy for us to talk about, because it's like I don't even want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable, but I know it's important to have these uncomfortable conversations. Mm-hmm. Especially as a white person. So yeah, it sucks to see that, especially in a show. I get it. It was in the 60s, but at the same time, like, they're supposed to show future, and I get that there's worlds that aren't as advanced as Earth, and so are more primitive, and, you know, probably would have humanoids or beings that are less advanced and maybe like how the Native Americans were. But at the same time, it's just, yeah, especially in the way they portray them and the way they portray Kirk, it's just very white saviorism, and it just sucks. And even things like how we just mentioned before, how Uhura wasn't utilized when she's literally like the communications officer.
Yeah.
And, you know, talked about Strange New Worlds and how she was able to figure that out. Granted, that was made today, but still, I don't know. There's just a lot of things that it just sucks to see in a show that was generally progressive at the time. Like, they were just, like, so close and yet so far. So,
and
yeah.
It'd be one thing if it was, like, an alien race like the Tellarites or the Andorians, or, you know, something new that they made up. They went to great lengths to tell us that these specifically were North American Native Americans that were somehow displaced from Earth onto this planet. Like, that's not a... They're explicitly saying, yo, these are Native Americans from the United States of America.
Yeah.
On Earth. Like, it's like Miri, I think. Like, there's a good story here. Like, I like the idea of the obelisk like deflecting things from the planet, and
totally,
like everything but the white / indigenous, like, what's the word I want to use?
I don't know. Trope?
Yeah, I guess the trope, the relationship, the power balance, not even the power balance, no, maybe the like
imbalance,
the white saviorism.
Yeah. Take a drink every time we say white saviorism.
Yeah, that's that. So yeah. That will bring us. Do you have any other thoughts on that kind of stuff before we get into something fun? Okay. That will bring us to spoilers without context. Since I went first for That's What They Said, we will bring Ensign Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what I did. Oh, yes. So I had to use Pocahontas and John Smith, especially with the stoning at the end, because, like, she goes up to try to shield him, and it very much reminded me of the scene where, oh, I forget Pocahontas's dad's name, but he's about to, like, beat John Smith to death, and she saves him. And then I did Doctor, because the medical thing looked exactly like the Doctor mirror thing that they had. And then it was a very hard decision to choose between Deep Impact and Armageddon, because they're like the same movie. But I chose Deep Impact because Elijah Wood, and I also love Taya Leone. And
she's great. You didn't pick it just because it's fucking Deep Impact, like that didn't have any
Actually, no.
Wait, and why you picked Deep Impact rather than Armageddon?
No. And I like both the movies, too. I'm literally not thinking of it sexually at all, for once.
Honestly, kind of surprised.
Maybe I was subconsciously drawn to it when I was picking it. Who knows? And then... this is very fitting since we just talked about season 3 of Lost, and we'll be talking about it again tomorrow. But when Charlie has to turn off the jamming signal for the island, he has to use the notes from the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations. So very similar that, it's a song code. So, and I was like, what picture could I use? And I wasn't really finding a screenshot of him typing in the code. So I was just like, well, he does not Penny's boat right after. So figured that was fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yep.
Those are mine.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will then bring my spoilers without context up on the screen. And I had to use it's an obelisk from Egypt for the obelisk. And then I had to use Coulson and Tahiti. It's a magical place.
What?
He said
That's
Tahiti syndrome.
So funny. We did not share these. No. How funny. Wow. Great minds.
And then when
damn it, I should have done this one.
From Ghostbusters, Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. And then I had to use Half Baked because Kirk and Miramonte were both stoned.
Such a dad joke. It's so bad. It's so bad, Johnny. God damn it. I hate that I laugh at it.
I had to. That's the one where I said I kind of cheated on one a little bit, but yeah, I had to.
Cheated, well done. Unfortunately.
Thanks. That'll do it for Spoilers Without Context. So, before we rank the episode, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell the folks what's going on?
I have no idea. What is going on? Just kidding.
Well,
the world's going to shit. No, so besides Trek Retrek every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, if you didn't know, we are doing our Lost Watch Rewatch series right now. This is Johnny's first time watching Lost. I am popping his cherry. Pop. And so we're talking about it every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. So make sure to turn in to that. And I'm losing it. I need to be done now. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Instagram at GTFO channel. If you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. It is the reverse of our social media handle. And make sure to smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. And I need to stop talking, even though I'm about to talk more.
Yeah. And so, Kayla, how do you rank the Paradise Syndrome?
This is getting a big ol' Ensign for obvious white savior reasons. That's all I need to say.
Okay. Also, Ensign. Same reason.
Yeah. Like, there's no way we could give this more than that.
Yeah. Our next episode is And the Children Shall Lead. The Enterprise reaches, IMDb.com says, the Enterprise reaches a Federation colony where the adults have all killed themselves, but the children play without care.
As long as we don't have any more creepy reactions between Kirk and a 13, 14-year-old, however old Mary was, I think this will hopefully be better than that. One can hope.
One can hope.
We'll see. I haven't watched it yet. Alright, well, until then, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.